I was never an athlete, and I never had a sport growing up. I grew up in the 1950s and 60s, and there were few opportunities for girls to be in organized sports. But guys, on the other hand, well, they could play baseball, basketball, football, tennis, wrestling, and swimming. Maybe even golf. I checked all of those out to confirm it in my yearbook last night, but there was nothing at my school for girls. As a child growing up, I would play hopscotch, I would roller skate, I did hula hoop, and because my parents were very concerned about water safety, they made sure to enroll me in the Red Cross swimming lessons. It took me 3 rounds of lessons just to get my head in the water and do the dead man's float. But once I got the hang of that, I was ready to swim, and I learned the basics of swimming. I went on to the intermediate level, and then the advanced. I had all 3 of those little white cards with the red crosses on them. Kids would show them off, see who had the most advanced level. Well, years ago, people were really not into fitness. There weren't gyms like we have today. I didn't really even think of exercise until I met my husband. He was into exercise. And when we got married, we started to do regular walking, and then we started to do bike riding. I even did some jogging. And then I started to do some swimming, just occasionally at the local community center. Well, when my children were born, I wanted to make sure they would learn to swim right away, no early fears. Well, Robin and Michael took to the water right away. They loved the pool in Fairlington Villages. We just about lived there. And one day, when they were having a great time swimming, I looked over at the designated lane for lap swimming, and I thought, I wonder how many I can do. I did 5 laps that day, and the next day I did 10. I wasn't even tired. I'd found my stride. I thought, this is great exercise, and I felt wonderful in the water. When the summer was over, I continued to swim at the local community center. I went there 2 or 3 times a week, swam for an hour. Well, in 1991, we moved out here to Fairfax, and I started swimming at the JCC-NV, the Jewish Community Center of Northern Virginia. I would go there my 2 to 3 times a week, swim my hour. Sometimes I noticed that there was an adult swim team there, but I didn't know what that was all about. A couple years later, one of the guys on the swim team, Joe, came up to me and he said, "Hey there, why don't you join our swim team?" "Are you kidding me?" I said. "Swim team? I've never been on a swim team. I'm not good enough to be on a swim team." "Yes, you are. We've been watching you. You can swim for a whole hour. And the only requirement for Master Swim is that you swim for an hour and that you're at least 18 years old." I have to tell you secretly, I was thrilled to be invited. And so I joined the team. They put me in lane 2. I think that was the slow lane. And I had to learn all the little things you need to know about swim team, like swimming in a circle. That meant you'd go up one side of the lane and then return on the other side of the lane. And we had a coach, and they put workouts up every time. It was like having my own swimming lesson each time. The guys on the team would encourage me. They'd give me a high five every time I finished a practice. But while they were working hard to improve their interval time on their 100 meters or their 50 meters, I would just be trying to go for completion and finish the practice. Occasionally, I'd hear them talk about going to swim meets, but I didn't pay attention to any of that until one day they said, guess what? The JCC is going to host their first swim meet. Come on, Barbara, you've got to be on the team. You've got to swim. And I said, me? I've never competed in anything unless you count the 50-yard dash for the presidential fitness test. Well, after much cajoling, I agreed to go to the swim meet. I arrived, and then our team was told to go and do our warm-ups in the pool. I jumped in, warm-ups, this water was freezing. Not like our 83-degree water that we usually complained about. But I learned that they always lower the temperature for swim meets because they want to make it really cold. Maybe it's that they want to make it cold enough so you want to swim fast and get out of the water as fast as possible. Well, after the warm-ups, we dried off and they gave me a shirt. We had team shirts. I didn't know this. Wow! It said JCC Master Swim, and on the back it had a great big round bagel, and it said, "We swim for bagels." Which is true, because we had gotten into a habit of going out for bagels and coffee every Sunday. I loved being on the swim team. Maybe it was for the bagels. I don't know. Well, the swim team started, and the first event had these two women that were in their 80s. They were swimming freestyle. They were kind of slow. Everybody was cheering them on, and when they finished, everybody clapped. I thought, boy, if those 80-year-old women can swim, I can do it. And maybe I'll be doing it in my golden years too. Well, I sat waiting for my turn, feeling very nervous. And then they called the 50-meter freestyle. Everyone said, "Go, Barbara, you're going to be great. No problem." I got up to the end of the pool and I stepped on the starting block. I tightened my goggles. I thought, please stay goggles on, no leaking goggles. I thought, what if I dive in before the buzzard? Okay, just pay attention. Before I knew it, it was, swimmers, take your mark. Ready, set, ouch! Oh, I made a belly flop. Oh, it hurt, but no matter. I swam my heart out and my goggles stayed on. That was good. I swam and swam. All I had to do was 2 lengths. I swam to the end. I turned around. I could hear my team saying, "Go, go, Barbara, you're almost there, you're almost there." I got to the end. I was so elated for finishing my very first event that I started to swim over to the adjacent lane, the one that had the steps for climbing out of the pool, when I heard voices saying, "Stop, watch out, there's still somebody swimming." Oops. There was sure a lot to learn about being in a swim meet, I thought. I got out of the pool. I was drying off, shivering. I don't know if it was from still being nervous or the cold water. Well, swim meets take a long, long time. My teammates and I chatted. We did crossword puzzles. We cheered on our fellow swim team members when it was their event. Finally, it was time for my second and last event, the 100 meters, 4 lengths of the pool. I got up, determined to make this dive good. Ready, set, beep! I dove into the water. It was a good dive. Oh, but the impact was too much. It shifted my goggles and the water started to run in. I couldn't see anything, but I swam and I swam and I swam. 1 length, I turned around, and at the end of the second, the lactic acid was creeping through my muscles. By the third, my arms were feeling like lead, but I could hear my team shout, "Go, Barbara, go! Pull, 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 pull!" By the fourth, my lungs were ready to explode. And when I finished, I dragged myself out of the water, relieved. Well, I was a bit surprised, but by the end of that meet, I found out that I had earned a second and a third place ribbon. Woo! The first time I'd ever won any ribbons in my life. I went on to swim in some more meets, and in one meet, I won 2 gold medals. 50 breast, 100 breast. But because you're my friends, I'll tell you the truth. I was the only one swimming in each event in the 50 to 54 year group. Well, it is about participation. I don't swim in meets anymore. But I've got those medals and those ribbons hanging next to my computer. And whenever I look over at them, I remember what I was able to accomplish. And I don't need those medals and ribbons to tell me who I am as a swimmer. Because every day that I show up for practice, and tomorrow will be 21 years that I've been showing up at practice 3 times a week, every time I get in that water and I work on my technique and my speed, I am going for the gold.